Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein, and I will be your presenter today. Today, we're talking about how to handle in membership when a family or an individual that's part of a family leaves the church. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull up church windows here and open up membership. So there's two different scenarios that I want to walk through with you guys today. So the first one's going to be what to do if an entire family leaves, whether that's just one person in the household or multiple people. But then I want to talk about too how to handle if just one person in the family leaves the church. So whether they passed away, moved away, whatever it might be, how to remove just that one person but keep the rest of the family active. Okay? Let's go into people first. All right, then from people, I'm going to look up the Bernard family. This is a family of 4. So we have Evan, Nikki, Stuart, and Eric. Now, let's say this family has decided that they are moving away. Okay, so they are going to transfer their membership to another church somewhere else. Okay. It's really easy to go in and update everybody's information. So as long as everyone in the family is inactive and everybody is leaving for the same reason, there's a really easy button just to make this whole family inactive. So top left, it says make family inactive. Go ahead and click that and it's going to give you a note letting you know that this is going to apply for the family, everyone in the family. It says this will make all active individuals of this family inactive and will assign them a reason and date below. All right, so we're going to give them an active reason of, we'll say transfer to another denomination. And then we're also going to put in the date. It's always going to default to today's date, but you can definitely come in here and change it if you need to. All right. If you use the donations module, it's going to ask if you want to end their giver number. So if you use donations and you use giver numbers or envelope numbers, if you call them that, it's going to give you the option within here to end that number as well. You don't have to end that number if you don't want to. However, if you do decide to end their number, but say they have giving so far this year, it will still generate a donation statement for someone inactive if they have giving within the date range. It's going to do that by default when you generate your statements. Okay, and whether they have a number or not isn't going to affect whether they are going to get a donation statement or not. So it's really up to you and how you want to handle their number. So if you want their number to show up on that donation statement when you go to print it at the end of the year, then obviously don't check this box. You just have to remember to do it later or add an end date if you want, okay? So I'm going to choose to end giver number, and I'm going to say when I want this number to end. So I'm going to just put in the end of this year. Okay, you can do today's date if you want. Again, it's up to you what date you want that number to end for this family. So then I'm going to say, okay, system's going to update. And now if we look at this family, we can see it says family inactive. It's in red. And then each individual that we click on is listed in red as well. And if we look over here to the right in this inactive box, we can see they all have the same reason of transfer to another denomination, and they're all sharing the same date. Okay. You can do that mass change for the whole family with that make family inactive button. But then if you decide actually Eric left for a different reason, you can come back in here and then change each individual's reason to something different if you want, okay? But that's just a preset. It's going to give everybody the same reason, the same date, and apply to everyone in that family, okay? Now, if you find this family comes back, or maybe one person in this family comes back, you can simply uncheck this inactive box, and that's just going to bring Eric back. Okay, so if you ever mark someone inactive and they decide to come back, rejoin, just uncheck the inactive box and that brings them right back to you. Okay. Something else to keep in mind. If you do, in fact, have an inactive person, you can still enter a donation to someone inactive. So if someone used to be a member at the church and they've left, but say Christmas is coming or you're doing some type of special offering and they have a different church home, they're not rejoining your church, but they do decide to send some money into the church, you can still enter a donation to someone who is marked inactive. Okay, on that enter donation screen, right above where you search for a person, there is an inactive checkbox there. Simply check that box and then all of your people that you've made red by being inactive will be available for you to put a donation on. Okay? All right, so that is how you make the family as a whole inactive. I'm going to go back to the Klein family that we used yesterday. And let's say one of us in this family has decided that they're going to leave the church, okay? But the rest of the family is going to stay. What we're going to do is we're going to highlight the person that's leaving the church, okay? So this is just one person that's leaving. With that one person highlighted, we're not going to do make family inactive, but we are going to come over here just on that individual, so just on Mitch's record, and we are going to check the inactive box. As soon as we check that box, we're going to get a different screen. We're going to get a little wizard that's going to pop up, and it's going to give us some different items that we typically need to fix or update or adjust when one person within a family leaves, because the dynamic is probably going to change of that family, okay? So right here, now we're doing this for Mitch Klein. Add an active reason. So we need to specify why this record for Mitch Klein is leaving. Okay, let's say withdrawn. Add an active date. So the date they're leaving, we're going to leave it on today, but again, if you want to change it, you can. If someone's passed away, you can choose death and then put in the inactive date or their date of death. Now we need to change the mailing label. So now that Mitch is no longer part of this family at this church, we're going to get rid of the Mitchell and we're going to update the mailing label to just the remaining spouse's name. And then you can also update the family relation. Okay, so this is for Mitch Klein. This is his family relation. We can put anything that we want in here. If you don't have one that applies, like for this, you can hit the little plus sign and you can create a new field if you want to, okay? Again, you can skip it if you don't want to put anything in or you don't want to change it. Change status. If they have a status code currently and you want to change it to something else, you can. You can change it to inactive. Or you can leave it at active member if that's what they were when they left. And then you would know at that time if you ever need to run a report of how many active members passed away in 2023, for example, you could do that by leaving their status code as it is and not change it. But some people will mark someone as inactive when they leave as well as, I should say, checking the inactive box. It's up to you. Doesn't really matter for the database which procedure you follow. I would just pick one and stick with it. Next option says remove directory report order and set Rachel Diane Klein's directory report order to 1. So Mitch was the primary in this family. Now that he's gone, there is no longer a primary. So this checkbox is going to remove that 1 from Mitch's field in his directory report order box, and it's going to change Rachel to now be the primary in the family. So I'm going to keep that checked. And then this says optional field changes for Rachel Klein. So this is the spouse or partner. And what are we doing with their family relation or their marital status? So this is also helpful if someone passes away. You can change it to widow, widower, divorce, separated, whatever it might be. And then also family relation. If that changes as well when one of the other people in the family leaves, you can update the family relation field as well. And then there's a note down here. It just says update or remove family or individual pictures or update and remove group classes for Mitch Klein. So don't have to do anything here. It's just a little reminder of things to consider. Okay. Once you get this information updated, simply click OK, and it's going to go through and it's going to update everybody's records that were affected. So it's definitely going to update Mitch. We can see now that he's red because he's inactive. It's given his inactive reason and also his inactive date. And then it's also going to update Rachel. So Rachel's now the primary. And we can see here the mailing label now just reflects the family name minus who we just made inactive. Okay. One other thing that I think is pretty tricky that not everybody knows about is you can reorder this list down here at the bottom. So since Mitch is gone, what we can do is hover over his name here and do a right click, and we can choose this move down option, and it'll actually put him down at the bottom of the list. So it's just keeping our active people up at the top, and it just shifts him a little further in the list. Okay, so that's a fun way or a nice way to kind of keep your group tidy, especially if you have a family where somebody's passed away. It's helpful, I think, to kind of scooch them further down the list so those active people stay up at the top. I see a question pop in here real quick I want to touch on. It says, will the change in mailing label change also for the rest of the family? Yes. So everyone in this family, the mailing label affects them. So even though we changed it when we made Mitch's record inactive, it still updates the mailing label for everyone else in the family. So great question, but yes. All right, again, if you make someone inactive and they decide, never mind, I want to come back, very simple to do. Uncheck the inactive box. Mitch is no longer in red. That brings them back. Make sure you update any fields now with new or updated information. And then also update the mailing label to reflect that new addition or that person brought back into the family.